guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Honestly, it's a pretty slow weekend. I am filming this on November 10th. The government is still shut down. SNAP benefits are still in question. People are staring down the barrel of like astronomical increases on their healthcare prices. So like people are being very cautious with their money. So in no way am I surprised that it's been pretty slow for the last couple of weeks. But either way, a couple really good sales, a couple cool vintage pieces, like lots to talk about still, despite the market being a little bit slow right now. Understandably. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia. That is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, we've got a lot to get done. It is late in the afternoon. I need to get these things packed up and off to the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipments. Okay, so the first thing that's sold here is this beautiful vintage scarf. This is so just like mod. I love the colors. I love the print. So this is a scarf designed by a woman named Vera Newman, and she did these kind of really big, bold prints. Her scarves are very collectible. I mean, it's not, you know, this is not going to be like $100 sale or anything, but you know, especially if you are sourcing in a bins location that has, you know, like a pay by weight situation, absolutely be paying attention to the scarves. They're super lightweight. This weighs almost nothing. So in theory, if you're paying whatever it is, $1.99, $2.50 per pound, you could probably get like 12 scarves for that price, as long as they're silk, which is what you should be looking for, silk and wool. With very rare exception, would I ever tell you to get something that is not a silk scarf or a wool scarf of some sort, at least a silk or wool blend. But always, if you're seeing scarves and you're seeing like a beautiful silk scarf, like look for signatures, because there are a ton of people that collect prints and stuff like that. And this is a case where people collect her prints. So either way, I had this one listed for about 3 months at $28. Had a lot of interest in it over that time. And I got an offer for $22.40, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $15.34. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope she loves it. So, so cute. And I love, again, scarves and ties are just quickly becoming some of my favorite stuff to pick up because it takes almost no space to store. And speaking of ties, we've got this fun one. Now, my mom a few months ago had found this little cache of like novelty ties. This is kind of like a lawyer themed tie. There was a science theme tie. It had like the periodic table on there and like Erlenmeyer flasks and so on and so forth. And the funny thing is, this is the second of that little collection to sell, leaving the third one still unsold, which is the one that I thought would go the fastest. It's like a very 90s like skateboard print. These were all done by Nicole Miller, who did these novelty ties. And Nicole Miller was a pretty high-end maker. They were pretty expensive back in the day. But novelty ties, so in terms of ties, I typically go for very classic designs, like the kind of ties that will never be out of style, you know, your classic diagonal stripes, your diamond prints, your solids, your, you know, like textures, your tonals. Or I'm going for like hardcore novelty ties like this. I always use teacher ties in the keywords because I think that a lot of these are bought by teachers for a fun little like something in their everyday wear. So like for the science themed one, I had the teacher tie and science teacher tie as a keyword. But I will pick these kinds of ties up anytime I see them. They're the kind of things that are kind of hard to find new, at least in like decent quality. I feel like high quality novelty ties are kind of largely a thing of the past. So the people who are looking for them have no choice but to look on the secondhand market. Either way, I had this listed for just under a year, and I had it listed at $32 and it popped through as a full price sale. So with a $1 roughly, maybe a little bit less cost at the bins back east, this brought me to a profit of $27.01, and this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope he loves it. I mean, again, like find another, right? These things are just not easy to get your hands on. Next up, speaking of find another, this is a fun tuxedo jacket that I found. This is from a designer called Giovanni Testi, and from what I can find, he's got a suit shop here in LA. I don't know if this is a brand that sells online or anything, but they do have quite a few. I don't want to call these like novelty, because this is not like a Tipsy Elves level quality blazer. Like, this feels like a real deal suit blazer, just with a really fun color. I truly do not know the best way to fold a suit jacket. So this has like a deep blue satin lapel. So in the listing, I used Dumb and Dumber because this looks kind of like the Harry and Lloyd tuxedos that they wore. It's not at all, but this could easily like pass for that in a costume. And as when I found this, like Halloween was kind of coming up, so I wanted to make sure that it was tagged for that. But either way, this is just kind of something that's hard to find in any kind of decent quality. Now, is this like Canali quality? Absolutely not. But it is quite a bit nicer than like a costume quality blazer or like a Tipsy Elves situation. So I had this listed for just over 1 month, and I had it listed at $56, and it popped through as a full price sale. So with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $47.23 over on eBay. And, you know, again, rarity matters when it comes to resale, and I just don't think that there are many of these, if any other of these, out in the market. So I hope he loves it. It's in great condition. It's a fun little blazer. Next up, we've got this adorable little shirt from Free People. This is an interesting Free People tag that I've never really seen before. But this is just a little stretch lace top. It's meant to fit really close to the body. It's got raglan sleeves. This really fits in with a couple of the trends that are happening right now. This is like the new boho, which is much more monochromatic than it is floral, and unconventional lace, which is just lace, you know, really being used in applications that are not trim, right? Like unconventional methods. And this sold so quickly to the point where I was almost like, oh, should I have like held out for a better offer? You know what I'm saying? Which maybe, but it was still a decent profit. I'm okay with that. This sold so fast. I really couldn't believe it. Like, this actually popped off before I was even done like writing my listings for the night. So fast, fast, fast. Which we love. We always love when things are in and out of our hands, lickety split. But this just kind of fell into enough currently happening trends on top of it being like a desirable brand and kind of a desirable silhouette in a decent size. This just kind of had everything going for it. It was a pretty insignificant piece, so it was never going to be a huge sale, but it sold so fast. So I had this listed at $28 for like minutes. I don't even think it was a full hour that it was listed, like minutes it sold in. And I had gotten an offer for $22, which I did accept. And with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $15.60. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. You know, with something that sells that quick, you always have the moment of pause of like, oh, did I price it right? But, you know, I still made a decent profit, so I'm happy with it. And it's a cute little shirt. So I hope she loves it. Next up, this is something I will always keep my eyes out for while I'm in the bins. This is just a little hoodie from the North Face. And the thing that I really like about it is that it's got the plain old like lock-up spell out logo. And make sure that when you have a spell out logo like this, spell out logo is literally the North Face instead of TNF or just a symbol. Spell out logo means that it actually has the full name of the brand on the item. You want to use that term because it is something that people look for. And when you have something that's like really kind of classic and bold and graphic like this from a brand like the North Face, which is, you know, a tried and true classic good quality company, this is just something that is always going to sell. Stuff like this isn't going to sell for a crazy price. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are North Face pieces that will sell for like crazy prices, but like a basic sweatshirt like this is probably not going to be one of them. But it will be a quick sale and it will be a decent sale. Just mind your cost with this. This is not something that you want to pay like $15 for. Let me know. I'd be interested to see, like Patagonia, I understand that like thrift stores would jack up the prices on, but if you are sourcing out of thrift stores that jack up prices, are they jacking up the prices on the North Face? Let me know. As somebody who lived in an area where like action sports was a really big deal, like the North Face is not viewed as highly as Patagonia, but I'm not sure if that is the same sentiment that's held by like the general public that doesn't participate in snow sports. You know what I'm saying? So let me know what your thrift store is doing if they're jacking up the price of the North Face. Quality is great. I mean, you can never go wrong with a piece from the North Face. It shouldn't be viewed at as less than Patagonia, but At least in the action sports world, it is. Unless you're talking about like alpine climbing, which I think the North Face is one of like the gold standard brands. Anyway, I had this one listed at $32 for just 1 week, had a lot of interest in it in that time period, got an offer for $25, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19.73. And this was a sale over on eBay. Hope he loves it. Again, just a great bread and butter thing that I will always pick up when I see it. All right, next up here, we've got this cute little sweater. This is from Saks Fifth Avenue, like their in-house line, which I'm not sure if this is only sold at like off Fifth. Either way, it's beautiful cashmere. It's a nice bright red. It is a slim fit V-neck. I think the one thing that kind of kept this from moving was that it's a pretty small size. That being said, this kind of sweater in particular, like a close fitting V-neck sweater, I always use the keyword Lorelai Gilmore. Like if you've been here for a little bit, you know we love the Gilmore Girls at this channel. But if you are new here, welcome. We like the Gilmore Girls. But that being said, that kind of style, that late 90s, early 2000s style that Lorelai Gilmore really like cornered, is having a moment right now, and people are searching for garments using the names of the characters on TV that they're trying to look like. Think like Rachel Green from Friends or Phoebe Buffay. Lorelai Gilmore is another one of them. These iconic kind of 90s, 2000s stars are like style icons today. So this being a very simple sweater, like I have the style keywords V-neck, slim fit, cashmere, etc. But when it comes to keywording, you want to make sure that you have everything in there that is relevant, that might possibly get somebody to your listing. So if you are sitting on a piece of clothing that looks like one of you guys had said before, Goldie Hawn in Laugh-In used to wear, you know, you use those kind of keywords because people look for stuff like that, especially around Halloween, but also not around Halloween. Halloween is in the rearview mirror for me right now. But cashmere is an always pick up for me. I always make sure when I am picking up a piece of cashmere or any kind of wool, a quick way to check it for moth holes is to find like a light source and hold it up against it. So whether that's like a window or a light or whatever, hold it up against it. Make sure you're kind of like looking inside so you can see like the front and back individually. And if there's any kind of moth holes or any kind of damage, it should like jump off of it at you. Really, really quick little hack that somebody taught me years ago. But either way, I had this listed for about 4 months. I had it listed for $44 and I got an offer for $35, which I did accept. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $26, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. Guys, do not underestimate the power of putting like, I don't want to say like an as seen on, because I don't know if that's something that she wore. I honestly don't think that that is vintage at all. I think that's kind of recent, but using those character names that are current style icons is an effective strategy. Just make sure it's relevant, right? Next up, this was a really pretty one. So this, I actually found this on a really slow day at the bins. And this is a little boucle skirt from Vertigo Paris. Now Vertigo Paris, I don't think it's a particularly high-end brand. I think that this is probably in line with like Zara. If anybody knows a little bit more about this, let me know. That's kind of what the research that I have seen has told me. But it is made in France. And the skirt is all wool, so it's lovely. And it has that like old money aesthetic. But like I said, I don't think the brand is particularly expensive. I've sold a couple pieces from Vertigo over the years, and they've all sold kind of the same way in that like Zara kind of bread and butter territory. Either way, it's lovely and it was well made, so we're gonna grab that. I don't know if this sold because it's Vertigo Paris or because it's a cream boucle skirt, right? It's very classic style. But either way, I had this listed for about a month and a half, and I had it listed for $32. And I got an offer for $24, which I did accept. And with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $18.81. And this was a sale over on eBay. So hope she loves it. I think this is perfect for like the holiday season. It's cream, so it's something that I also use like bachelorette party, those kind of tags, as well as like the quiet luxury, old money, light academia, etc. That particular skirt for being as like simple as it is, had a lot of keyword opportunities with it. Next up, now this is something that I will never leave behind. This is a 90s vintage diesel chest stripe sweater. And I wish I knew what this was made of, but all the interior tagging has been cut out, but it's diesel, so it's probably wool of some sort. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of like a shimmer to it, but it's so fine. So imagine if you took like your standard kind of like Lurex threads and cut them in half like long ways. That's how fine that sparkle is. But this is so just like of that era. This is like the kind of stuff that when I was in high school, I really wish I had, but I mean, this was diesel, and diesel is still so expensive, and it was very expensive back then. But this had a lot going for it in that it was not only like true 90s vintage, but color-wise, this is very on trend for right now. It's that like dark brown. It's like an ashy brown and orange, and those kind of like browns and burgundies and oranges are everywhere this year. So while this could have been, if this didn't have a diesel tag in it and it was still vintage, I still would have picked it up style-wise because it's 100% what people are looking for, but the fact that it was diesel was like gravy. People always ask if I source style-based or brand-based, and my question is both, and oftentimes it's a combination of both. A lot of times the stuff that I pick up, the makers, the designers, are like a bonus. They're things that I would have picked up regardless. So think like a silk lace trimmed camisole, right? Like those things are flying out of people's closets. I would buy one of those from any brand. If I felt that it was vintage, I would buy it without a label in it. But if it's got like a higher end label in it, that's gravy. It's just like an extra layer, but I would have bought that regardless, right? Perfect example. Either way, I had this listed for just 3 weeks, had a ton of interest in it. And I had it listed for $52 and I got an offer for $41, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $36.93. And this was a sale over on Depop. I had so much interest in this, especially on Depop. This must have been brought into some kind of edit, but either way, I hope she loves it. This was such a gem of a find. Next up, this is one that my mom found, and this is from Sundance. Rest in peace, Sundance. This is 100% silk. It's sheer chiffon. It's got mixed print, shell buttons. This just looks like Sundance, right? This is the vibe. And I'll tell you, I haven't found much of anything from them recently. You guys know I absolutely love them. And now that Sundance is closed, I think officially, you know, these pieces are probably going to be a bit more in demand because there's not many companies that make things like this in like fine quality. And there are real fanatics of Sundance. So keep your eyes out. I'm looking at you, people in Utah. I feel like the outlet store is closed there in Sugar House, but if it's not, go and clear it out, guys. Make sure we can get these into the hands of people that want them. I absolutely love Sundance stuff. Quality is usually gorgeous. They always use beautiful textiles, really just interesting stuff. I feel like this is the kind of stuff you see a lot of like rayon, I don't want to call them dupes, but a lot of rayon like copies of. Usually if you're finding it from Sundance, it's real silk. And I have just found nothing recently. Let me know if you guys are still finding stuff, if you're seeing a lot of it. Especially you guys in Utah. Let me know if you're actually finding quite a bit of it, because I know it was like heavily concentrated there. I still can't believe Sundance left Utah. That's just, it's wild. As somebody who lived there and lived through a good 10 Sundance festivals, town's gotta feel so weird without that component. As a local for many of those years, we hated to love it, okay? We hated to love it. Love to hate it? Both. Both apply. You couldn't drive anywhere. Traffic was a nightmare, but it was always really, really cool to have in your backyard. Anyway, had this listed at $36. I had it listed for about 3 months and I got an offer for $29, which I did accept. This is from my mom, so this is probably less than $1 because it's so lightweight at the bins back east. And with all that said and done, that brought me to a profit of $24.25. And this was a sale over on eBay. Strangely enough, Sundance sells for me much better on eBay than it does on Poshmark. That was an interesting little pattern to recognize while I was going through my spreadsheet. Next up, I have this little Gorgina linen top from Club Monaco. Club Monaco is a brand I don't pick up all that often. It doesn't sell super well for me, but this shirt in particular just had everything going for it. It's 100% linen. It's got kind of a tailored but somewhat cropped body and these perfectly shaped blouson sleeves. Like they're exaggerated, but not too exaggerated. A really gorgeous classic piece. I feel about Club Monaco the same way I feel about Banana Republic. I would love to pick up more of it. I see a lot more Banana Republic than I see of Club Monaco, but I haven't had the best experience selling it, but this, again, was one of those things where I picked it up for the style. And the brand being like good quality is gravy. Their stuff really is gorgeous though. But either way, I had this listed for just like 2.5 weeks. Super, super quick seller. And I had it listed for $38 and I got an offer for $34, which I did accept. And with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $30.30, and this was a sale over on Depop. So again, Depop really continuing to grow in my stats, and I love to see it. Let me know, are you seeing the same thing? Are you seeing Depop start to increase in terms of sales that you're getting? Let me know. Like, I would love to hear if everybody else is having the same experience, because it is at this point undeniable when I look at my numbers. So love to see it. And finally, this gorgeous little Calvin Klein navy blue dress. This is size 14. You know, it's funny, I sold a Calvin Klein dress of my own, and it sold for a better price. I wanna say it sold for more than I bought it for, because knowing me, I probably bought it on like ultra clearance somewhere. But every time I've gotten my hands on one of their, like, I don't want to call this an occasion dress. This is something that's like a classic navy blue kind of fit and flare dress with a belt, right? Like, this isn't necessarily a cocktail dress. It's not necessarily like a wear to work dress, but it is something that can be worn to cocktail and wear to work. It's just one of those super versatile, like, equivalents of a little black dress, but it's a little navy dress. And every time I've had one, it has sold really well for a much better price than I anticipated selling for, which I'll take it. Anytime I can get that, I will take it, you know? This belt is actually tacked to the dress and I don't want to separate it, so I really don't know what to do with the belt right now. So we're just gonna do that. That's a bit better. It'll need a steam, but this fabric is very, very easy wear. But if you're on the hunt for like your perfect little black dress or little navy dress, check out Calvin Klein pieces, guys. They're made really, really well. That's something that's always appealed to me. Like, I've had many, many Calvin Klein dresses in the past, and they've always like made it through 3 or 4 weddings completely unscathed. They look brand new still. They're just the perfect kind of dresses to have, like, in case you get invited to something that is happening like tonight. You can throw this on, throw some accessories on, and it will look chic. Always, right? I have a little black sheath dress from Calvin Klein that I've had for years, and it has been that like emergency dress, and it has come in clutch so many times. But either way, it's funny because I don't have the immediate inclination to pick it up when I see it, but I've recently been keeping my eyes out for it. Of course, I haven't seen much since I started keeping my eyes out for it. That's how it goes. But when I do see these nicer dresses, especially when you find them in sizes that are like large and above, I'm gonna be picking them up, especially if I find them at the bins. But either way, had this listed for about 4 months. I had it listed for $54 and I got an offer for $46, which I gladly accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $36.48. And this was a sale over on eBay. Oh, this is going international. Interesting, Calvin Klein. Either way, that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Again, kind of a slower weekend. Completely understand why it's been a little bit slower. So hope all of you guys are doing okay. Hope your sales are at least, you know, staying steady. It's going to be an interesting holiday season this year. But again, some good sales, some interesting pieces going. One of the things I'm noticing is a lot of the things that have been moving for me are the like unique, the vintage, the kind of find another pieces. But you still have some bread and butter pieces in there, you know, that Calvin Klein dress, the North Face thing. But either way, thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so nice to have somebody to yak with. But guys, I have to get going. So if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting. And I will see you all in the next one.